Welcome in, Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla here on ESPN 1000 and the ESPN app. You can also download the podcast and subscribe on the TuneIn app. Bleck and Abdalla here on ESPN 1000. You can follow Adam at Adam A. Abdalla, and you can follow me on Twitter at Chris Bleck. Adam, let's start with the Chicago Bears and the Raiders. They play on Sunday, Week 5 in the NFL. A couple things to note as we record this on Friday afternoon. Since we have no show this Friday night because of Major League Baseball on ESPN 1000, we're here recording this podcast. So as of Friday afternoon, we know Mitch Trubisky is out. Chase Daniel will be starting for the Chicago Bears on Sunday.
I don't really think it matters. I don't know about you. I feel like this is going to be like Sunday, where this is going to be a defensive game. I know that the Raiders are going to have the better quarterback in Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr, we can agree Derek Carr is better than Chase Daniel. And I think that this is a game where this is a Khalil Mack revenge game. Like, he's made it known that this is a Khalil Mack revenge game. Everybody knows there's no way to stop this dude. Like, you can't stop Khalil Mack. You and I were at the game against the Vikings. It took a triple team to stop him at one point, and that led to a sack from another guy on the line. So I feel like this is just going to be a defensive game. If you look at the stats, the Bears have not allowed more than 15 points in a game this season. That ranks second, and they rank second in scoring defense behind the Patriots. And I feel like this is just going to be a full-on defensive onslaught. Go in, run the ball, let the defense do their thing, get out with a win, business trip, yada, 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 all that good stuff.
Wow, you're just completely negating the fact that the Oakland Raiders will be there.
No,
and listen,
I mean, they're there.
I
That's
understand.
cool.
Listen, the Raiders are not very good, but they're a 2-2 football team, and they can kind of run the ball. Josh Jacobs, the running back from Alabama, the rookie, he's had 62 carries this season for 307 yards and 2 touchdowns. And if you want to apply that type of logic in the fact that it's going to be a defensive game and both offenses are going to try and run the ball to protect their quarterbacks, I feel like Oakland's offense is a little bit ahead of the Bears' offense coming into this matchup. But clearly the Bears have the more dominant defense. So, I wouldn't completely rule out the Oakland Raiders. I know if you look at some of the different metrics on ESPN.com, the Football Power Index projector is saying the Bears will win this contest 58% of the time to 41% to the Raiders. The team rankings projection has the Bears winning 22-18. The number fire projection has the Bears winning 23-18. So it's all within one score, a touchdown, and it's all within 4 to 5 point range. That's what we're kind of looking at for this game on Sunday. And the one thing that I keep going back to is last year when we saw Chase Daniel for the first time, we were very impressed. And then the second time we saw him in there, and the New York Giants had a week to prep, Chase Daniel wasn't as good as we saw the first time, the first go-around. And I think the key to that is that that's why he's a backup. He's not a starter in the National Football League because he can't actually start. And I think people get swept up in this idea that, oh, he looked good when he was in there the other day. Yeah, he was okay. He threw for 195 yards. They put up 16 points. It's not like the Bears' offense was that exciting last week to begin with. It just was moderately better than what we've seen from Trubisky. So I think this is going to be a tough game. I just don't think the Raiders have enough to actually win, but I think it's competitive on Sunday.
I think that if you look at the different sides of the ball, right, if you look at the Bears' offense against this defense, against the Raiders' defense, they have a 48.1 percentage of third down conversions allowed. That's 27th in the NFL. They're 27th in takeaways. They only have 3. And they're 22nd in yards per play allowed. You just have to control the game, manage the clock, even if it's Chase Daniel doing what Mitch does, where he's one read and just moving the ball, 4 or 5 yards at a time. As long as you can convert your first downs and control the time of possession like they did against the Vikings, you're going to win, because ultimately, as bad as the Bears' offense can be, as long as they're productive slightly against this Raiders defense, the Bears defense is so productive that it's not even going to matter, I don't think, against the Raiders offense, because we saw what they can do against the run. So I know Josh Jacobs is great. 364 yards from scrimmage, the best among rookies in 2019 so far. So yeah, he's great. I get it. Roll Tide. But ultimately, I think that the Bears, if that's your game plan, and we saw, look, Derek Carr can't throw more than 10 yards down the field. So, they are a very limited offense. So I feel like this is, I'm not going to say it's a layup for the Bears, but this is probably, if you're going to have Trubisky out for a game, this is probably the game to have him out for.
And as we take a look at Mitch Trubisky and the injury, I think for Bears fans, there has to be a glimmer of hope that playoff and Super Bowl hopes were not dashed in the last week with the fact that, 1, he made the trip. 2, he wasn't ruled out until today, Friday. 3, with the bye week following this trip to London, there is the possibility that when the Bears return for week 7, that Mitch Trubisky could be back out there. So I think from what we started this week with, and the fact that maybe, possibly, we might be seeing Trubisky out for the rest of the season, I think this week, all in all, seems to be working out in a pretty good favor for Bears fans and for the Chicago Bears in general, because it sounds as if they will get their quarterback within the next couple weeks back starting under center.
Yeah, but then you got to worry about if he's not having surgery and this isn't season ending.
Yeah, well,
what happens again?
No,
because
listen,
he needs to run. No, come on, he needs to run, and he's not going to be able to do that if he's got a busted shoulder.
Well, right, okay, but he also needs to be better as a quarterback, and we also, for the long-term view, if we want to remove ourselves from the success of this season specifically, and you just want to figure out whether or not this guy's going to be the quarterback of the future, we need to see him out there playing. Because if we don't have more data by the time we get to the end of the season, this is going to be a complete mess for the Chicago Bears.
Well, I mean, they still have him under control. They don't have to extend him at the end of the year.
But listen, if say he was hurt for the rest of this season and he was out, then that means we have a wasted year of figuring out whether or not Trubisky is the guy or not, which means Ryan Pace would then take all of next year to figure it out, which means maybe he doesn't address the position in the offseason because he's still hoping that his guy turns out to be the next Drew Brees. But like, if you really want to map out how this is going to work in this offseason, is Chase Daniel, his contract will be up. Trubisky, we don't know his long-term future is going to be in the league. So then this next offseason, the Bears have to use a draft pick on a quarterback, whether or not that guy's going to be the backup to Trubisky, or if that guy will be the eventual starter at some point. And they need to go out and get a veteran quarterback to be a backup if they don't retain and keep Chase Daniel. So there's a lot of things in play this offseason for the quarterback position for the Bears, because of all of the positions on the team, it is one of the weak spots that we know already that they will have heading into the offseason. It will be tight end, it will be the quarterback position, and we'll see what happens with this kicker situation. So far, Piñeiro's worked out great. Who knows? That usually could go sideways pretty quickly in the NFL with kickers. So there are very few weak spots on this team. We know that the offensive line is going to need a little assistance, but basically every position on defense is set. And for the most part on offense, outside of some help on the offensive line and quarterback, you're pretty much set with weapons going forward. So we know what the situation is here. So if Trubisky doesn't play this year, it definitely muddies the waters when we're trying to figure out how Ryan Pace is going to act this offseason and in the future to figure out his quarterback position.
Look, man. If he doesn't know by now, like,
well, I mean, listen, man, he didn't know to begin with. He saw the dude at the Sun Bowl, and because he was wearing a little disguise,
I get that,
so no one could recognize him.
Yeah, I get it.
And Trubisky's throwing dimes against Stanford in the Sun Bowl. All of a sudden, he's the quarterback of the Bears.
No, I understand, but that was before Matt Nagy was here, and I hope that there is a more dissenting voice in the room when it comes to the draft picks, either this season or next offseason or whoever's available. Maybe, we'll see what happens with Minshew and if there's a trade available, whatever, you know what I mean? And ultimately, this guy likes to trade up for picks. So who's to say Trubisky's a lost cause this year because of injury, so they give him off next year, and then he's like, well, this isn't the guy. I got to trade up again. I'm going to trade up for Trevor Lawrence. And he trades up for Trevor Lawrence. So
maybe
it works out well. You don't know. Maybe it works out well.
The thing I always think of is if we were in some kind of like Family Guy or Rick and Morty show that had like flashbacks, if someone told me if I had a time machine and I could go back in the history of time to do one thing, or what would you do to kind of change the rest of history, I would take myself and become a ticket agent at the Sun Bowl. And when Ryan Pace comes to go through the gates to enter the stadium, I'd rip up his ticket and not allow him in. That's what I would do.
If you could go to one,
if you could go to one place,
that's your one place.
Well, think about it. All of a sudden you change everything. Next thing you know, Deshaun Watson is a Chicago Bears quarterback. The Bears have the best offense and the best defense in football, and they go to the Super Bowl 3 straight years. Come on, that's true. You would go back there, deny entry to Pace from getting into the Sun Bowl. Everything works out great for the Bears. All right, I want to ask you this. Do you have any more to add to my going back in time?
No, I just don't think I would waste it on a Sun Bowl game.
Well, of course not.
I could go anywhere ever, and I'm like, yeah, let's go to the Sun Bowl.
Huh.
Maybe if you could convince him to not make, you got to make him not make the reservation as as a Bears player, you know what I mean? Or maybe not have him drive his Toyota up here or something like that,
It's amazing. I'm not going to say what I wanted to say. It's just funny.
We can edit it. I can bleep it.
No.
Okay.
No. It's what I was going to say is not inappropriate. It's just we don't need to turn this into a bashing Ryan Pace Mitch situation here. I mean, listen, he made a clever reservation under a name of an ex-Bears quarterback, and for some reason that blew some wind up Ryan Pace's theoretical skirt.
Metaphorical skirt?
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you about this. Here's the question I have for you. Is Matt Nagy's offense really that great?
So I've been hearing a lot of this week. I've been hearing it from from people. I've been hearing it from various people that have played in the NFL. Like Waddle said it on the air. Yurko said it on the air. So, different analysts on shows and stuff. And I still feel like we're not going to see the true potential of Matt Nagy's offense until he has someone who can work the offense. Because Chase Daniel understands the offense. He doesn't have the talent. He can't do it. It's like knowing how to be really good at basketball, but you're stuck in my body. Like, I know how to be good at basketball, but I could never pull it off. You know what I mean? Like, I know, like, you got to dribble and stuff and shoot and all that good stuff and, between the legs and whatnot. Like, I get it.
What?
Like, I understand how to do, like, it's like I go to a lot of concerts, right? I understand how, like, what it looks like to play guitar. I could never pull it off, though, because I don't have lessons or anything like that. It's different because I feel like Chase Daniel knows everything. He just can't do it. So until you have I was talking to Waddle earlier this week. If I could take Chase Daniel's head and cut it off and put it on Trubisky's body, healthy body, not the body now because of the shoulder, but healthy body, you'd have like the perfect quarterback because you would have the talent and the arm strength to run the offense, but you'd also have the mind to comprehend and run the offense. And I feel like until you have that, we're not going to know.
I'm asking the question because I was watching the Jacksonville-Denver game last week, and John DeFilippo is the offensive coordinator for Jacksonville. And the Jags, they scored late, and they win the football game, right? And Gardner Minshew is being raved upon people across football as a rookie who's doing great things. But a lot of the offense is based on DeFilippo getting guys wide open. So, like, Jacksonville's offense looks pretty good. So I looked up some numbers on the Bears offense from last year to this year. So here are the numbers for this year and what they were last year. I want you to tell me after I give you all these numbers whether or not this is an offense people should be excited about here in Chicago. This year, yards per play, the Bears are 30th. Last year, they were 20th in the National Football League. First downs per game, the Bears are 25th. Last year, they were 16th. Points per game, they were 29th. They were 29th this year. Last year, they were 10th, which is actually pretty good, but they're 29th now. Red zone touchdowns per game, they're 28th in the NFL. Last year, they were 10th. Offensive touchdowns per game, they're 30th. Last year, they were 13th. DVOA on offense, they're 20th. Last year, they were 26th. So I give you all of those numbers, and I asked you the question, is Matt Nagy's offense any good? Because it seems like he has the weapons that he wants. You mentioned the quarterback position, but theoretically, isn't his system bigger than a quarterback situation? And shouldn't his system with the weapons that he wanted be able to get guys open and to put points on the board? I'm pointing at the head coach. I want to see an improvement from this offense going forward.
No, I want to also, but if you look at where he came from and you look at the Chiefs and you look at what Patrick Mahomes does, it's like 80% him. It's a lot of, mismatches and finding guys, but guys are catching balls that I don't think Trubisky would ever be able to throw because of Patrick Mahomes. And I feel like, you've got all these weapons.
Okay,
and to
remove the Chiefs from the conversation. Look at other offenses around the National Football League using this offense. Philly, Jacksonville. Come on. There are offenses out there that are putting points on the board.
Okay.
And the Bears everyone talks about Matt Nagy being so amazing with his offensive skill set of calling plays. I'm not seeing it, though.
I feel like you're putting too much of the blame on the play caller. And I think people are, and call me a hater, I don't care anymore. My Twitter mentions have been garbage anyway this last couple weeks, or the last week. So just add in Trubisky truthers, and we can throw that in.
Why has that been?
No, it's fine. I love everybody.
I have not seen any negativity in my mentions either.
Yeah, none? Okay. So I feel I don't care. I think we're quickly realizing, watching the other quarterbacks and how quick they and it's not like a fluke. Like Gardner Minshew doesn't seem like a fluke. Like I get it. A guy comes in one game, like we see Chase Daniel, like you mentioned earlier, and people are like, oh my God, Chase Daniel. Oh, this is going to be great. He's so much better. And then like the next game, you're like, oh my God, it's Chase Daniel. Oh no. And I feel like with Gardner Minshew, like specifically that example, you're realizing that slowly but surely, Trubisky's falling further and further down the list of quarterbacks in the NFL, and the Bears might have one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. And I'm not saying that because he doesn't have the talent or whatever, but just look at him. He's done it in one game so far against the second worst offense or defense in the league. Like the Redskins in DVOA right now have the 29th ranked offense and the 26th ranked defense. They are awful. They are god awful. So, of course, he played well against the Redskins. And here's the thing. How about this? When Nagy tried to call a timeout to set up a play for him to pad his stats, he couldn't even do that. He couldn't even get that play right. So, to me, it's not an indictment on Nagy until I see him with someone who can work. And my biggest fear is that this isn't going to work, and there's going to be a discord between Nagy and Trubisky, or Nagy and Pace, and Nagy's going to be gone, and he's going to become a great coach somewhere with a real quarterback. Because he's going to go somewhere where they have a high pick, and he's going to get to pick his quarterback from the draft, and he's going to be great with his quarterback. And he didn't get to pick Trubisky, and if I had a lie detector test, I bet you he wouldn't have wanted him. Just saying.
Man, look at you. You just took us like 3 years into the future where we have a civil war between Pace and Nagy loses out. The power struggle.
Well,
wow.
I mean,
look at you. Look at what you're doing here on this podcast.
I just think that I don't think we're being fair to Matt Nagy until we see him with a real system, with a real quarterback. And I don't think. Trubisky.
Listen, you can put a lot of blame on Trubisky, but this offense should be better all the way around.
I don't know if it should be.
I think it should. I think it should.
You don't think that Gardner Minshew would have better numbers right now? Would have good numbers right now if he was on the Bears? You don't think that they'd be better on offense?
Of course he could, because I think there is the possibility, it's still out there, that he might be a better prospect than Trubisky might be in the NFL. That's possible. I'm not going to argue that. And I agree. The Bears need a better quarterback than what they've had to this point. Whether or not that's Trubisky figuring it out or them acquiring someone who can actually play for Matt Nagy. The point that I'm making is if you're such a wizard offensively, you should be able to at least be middle of the pack in most of these categories. Like, why are you 25th in the league in first downs per game? Why are you 28th in red zone touchdowns?
Because this dude can't throw the ball more than 5 yards. He can't look at a guy that's not a first read. You've got every defense so far. Every single defense that they've played, someone on the defense have come out and said, as long as he plays quarterback, we'll be able to meet him or beat him. They're even talking trash. The Raiders are even talking trash about him by saying, not directly about him, but by saying, look, we've got to face Chase Daniel. And by our accounts, it's not that much of a drop off from Trubisky. He's not even playing and they're talking trash. Dude, the guy isn't good. And Nagy is a good offensive mind. You saw when there wasn't tape on Trubisky, what he did last year. Guys were open all the time. Now that there's tape on Nagy's system, he's got to adjust. And I don't think he's got a guy that can adjust with him.
Okay, can I give you, since you're just bashing Trubisky here
I'm not. I'm speaking truth. I'm speaking truth.
So,
prove me wrong.
Here, for anyone that tweets you some nonsense about Trubisky, respond with this. If you project out his numbers for a 16-game season this year, assuming, say, he only misses this one game and part of the Vikings game, you know that Trubisky will end with 2,300 yards passing, 12 touchdowns, and eight interceptions on the year.
That's garbage.
How pathetic is that?
That's garbage. Those are trash numbers. That's not not second overall pick numbers. That's ridiculous.
Dude, that's not even starting quarterback in 2019 numbers.
No.
That's brutal.
Those are backup numbers.
Yeah, so that's our Bears-Raiders conversation. Is there anything you see that you have your eyes on for the slate on Sunday? Any NFL games you're looking at gambling-wise? There's one that jumped off the page at me, and it's New Orleans is hosting Tampa Bay. And right now, the line opened at 6.5. Mm-hmm. The Saints is the favorite. And the Saints now are only favored by 3 points at home.
Yep. That's definitely the first game I wanted to talk to you about because we think alike, which means the Bucs will win. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait until Sunday and hope that either there's here's what I need. Now this is off the tangent, right? Okay, I need something that alerts me, and if this is out there and I don't know about it, then shame on me. I need something that alerts me. And because you and I bet online, we don't have a guy, right? We bet on the internet.
Listen, we're adults. Yes, we bet online.
Well, people would say that if we were adults, we would have a guy.
No, because we're young people who grew up doing this. So we didn't have to go to a back alley to have some guy open his trench coat to get some spreads. All right, we just go online, you make an account, you bet. Done.
See, I want something that alerts me, and not only alerts me, but takes my money and bets it for me when this gets to 2.5. Because I'm afraid I'm either going to be sleeping or I'm not going to notice it. And then on Sunday, it's going to come around and it's going to be like, well, you should have gotten to 2.5. And I'm going to be like, when was it 2.5? And then, because then the market correction comes in and it goes back up to 3 or 3.5, right?
Yeah, and I feel like your idea is exactly something that's an algorithm that someone created out there to do so, except you and I are not smart enough to pull that off.
Yeah,
and nor are we smart enough to create said algorithm, but we're also not smart enough to put that into an app form and to and to make money off of this brilliant idea. I agree with you, because I think the same thing. You could possibly do the same thing with Houston, Atlanta. Mm-hmm. The line's at 4 right now. Mm-hmm. And I think you could apply that same logic if it gets to 3.5 or even 3, that you would just want it to automatically bet one way. And God help me, if I bet the Falcons one more time this season.
No, stop it. Stop it.
But why every Sunday when we get to Sunday morning, I'll text you and say, I think I like the Falcons this week.
See, the other thing, you need the app that also it deletes the Falcons line for you. It just they're on bye every week for you. You just can't play the Falcons. I was also looking for that at the for the Baltimore-Pittsburgh game. The Ravens are a 3.5 point favorite right now, and if that goes back down to 3, 63% of the money's coming in on Pittsburgh right now. If that goes back down to 3, I might pull the trigger on the Ravens. I like the Ravens in that spot.
What do you think of Tennessee and Buffalo? Right now, the Titans are favored by 3 at home, and this game has a major difference on the Action Network between the percentage of bets coming in and the percentage of money. Heavy money on the Titans, and the bets are split between the Bills and the Titans. I think public probably assumes that the Bills are better than they are, and Tennessee is not as good as most people think. But Tennessee's a team that went on the road and totally killed my Falcons bet last week. Mm-hmm. So at home, getting 3, they're the favorite by 3 points. I kind of like Tennessee in this spot.
This is a game I stay away from. Maybe I'll put some money on the total because they're two good defenses. So I might put some money on the under here. It's at 38.5, and that's a super low number. But this feels like a 12-3 game or something like that like you don't pay attention. This is the red zone game that you only see twice. You know, it just doesn't happen.
It's the crap salad game of the day.
Yeah, but I think that I don't know enough about these two teams because you also have the Bills coming off the Patriots loss, and how do they respond from that? You know, ultimately, this isn't like college where they're kids and how do they respond from a soul crushing loss or whatever. But ultimately, it's a new week. They're on the road. Normally, if I didn't see this much money coming in on the Titans, I'd be all over Buffalo. At +3 on the road, but seeing that much money coming in on Tennessee means that something's up, and I might just stay away from that one.
Well, are we sure that Josh Allen's going to play?
I don't know yet.
Because he was in concussion protocol.
Yeah, if he doesn't, if that's then ultimately, then I definitely take the over or the under. The under. The other one I'm looking at, and it's the marquee. It's literally the only other game on in the afternoon besides. Who's going to watch the Broncos and the Chargers?
Here. Let me give some news. As of Friday afternoon, Josh Allen is questionable for Sunday.
Yeah.
In the concussion protocol. Stay away. Stay away.
Under.
Titans.
Under.
Come on, Titans.
Under.
I think that's a Titans play.
All right, we'll see.
It will certainly be in my teaser.
Oh yeah. Look. Hey, whoa. That's different. That's a whole different podcast. Okay, what are we putting in our teasers here? And then I go to the. That's it. I don't really see any other.
But
games.
To be honest, Josh Allen was full participation today, so
yeah,
he's full participation, questionable for Sunday. So I would guess that he's going to start, but I still like Tennessee.
I kind of like the Giants +5 too.
Oh yeah, me too.
Okay,
I'm with you on that.
All right, good.
Let's dive into that.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well,
+5 at home.
If you look at the teams, okay, Saquon's out, right? Yep. So they're not going to have Saquon Barkley. So if you look at the teams and the quarterback situation, I don't know who's in a worse quarterback situation. Like Daniel Jones seems to be better than Chase Daniel, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and the Vikings defense, while they did hold the Bears to 16, ultimately you could still throw on them at times, and they've got some inner turmoil going on. I love teams betting against teams with some inner turmoil, with Stephon Diggs and all that stuff, and Adam Thielen and Kirk Cousins making up on a radio show. I think the Giants are the play. It's all those intangibles that I love. Quarterbacks fighting.
I'm with you on that.
Okay.
I won't.
I don't have numbers and stats to back that up. I just I just like when there's infighting.
Sorry, I was pausing because, in my head, I was trying to figure out who I like more between Green Bay and Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
And,
you're already moving on. That's fine.
It's a 3. No, I was just thinking
I get
ahead,
it.
And I'm just I'm kind of stuck because I like both teams, and that's a true game that, I probably won't play.
Yeah.
Just because I kind of want to root for both teams. Maybe I'm weird like that.
Bet the under, then.
So let's do this. Let's say this, because here's how this is going to work. Since we're recording this on Friday afternoon, a lot changes before Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
So, even though these are the games we like, whether or not these are the plays we're going to make, things could change.
You could just bet it now.
Well, you could, yeah.
But I got money to spend on Saturday.
So why don't we do that? If these are the picks that we're gonna like on Sunday, you can tweet it out or something.
I guess
give people a little help there.
I might be done with Twitter.
But something's amiss there.
So if I had to play here, I think I like the Packers plus the 3.5 until it gets to 3. I feel like I like the Packers, and the public money and the sharp money is the same. It's 49% to 51% for the public money coming in on the or publics to sharps is the same because it's 50% basically. So
yeah, you know what? The more I think about it, I agree with you because don't you feel like this is a classic spot where Green Bay shows up and they win this game, and it's it's like soul crushing to the Cowboys because they're supposed to be the team this year.
Well, it also feels like a game where if it comes down to the end and the Packers are losing, I trust Aaron Rodgers to at least get them within field goal range. You know, like if this is a true field goal game, I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers because I think he can do enough to get them into at least field goal range to either win, tie, whatever, get them within something. Like I always go back to the Bears game, the beginning of the season last season, where like he just had it in his mind. He's like, I need to get within range like 4 times. That's it. And as long as I do that, and he was just checking scores off his list. It didn't matter what order they came in. As long as he got those scores, like it was going to work. And so I feel like he looks at that, you know, if I have a field goal game with the Packers, I'm going to go with him. Because I'm just not going to, it's not that I don't trust the Cowboys and Dak Prescott. I'm just going to trust the dude that's been in this situation a lot more than Dak Prescott.
Oh yeah, no, I'm with you on that, and clearly, you know, offensively, even though the Cowboys have been really good this year, I feel like I've been more impressed with Green Bay's defense at this point in the season than Dallas's offense.
Mm-hmm.
If you go by strictly Football Outsiders numbers, total DVR, Dallas is the 3rd best team in football. Green Bay is 12th, and their offense is 2nd. Green Bay's 16. Defense, they're 15. Green Bay's is 7. And special teams is pretty close, 14-19. Dallas with the edge there, and they're the home team. So that should be a good game on Sunday. All right, you and I both saw The Joker on opening night on Thursday. Let's talk about it for 5-10 minutes because I thought it was a really good movie. Joaquin Phoenix and Todd Phillips is the director. Clearly, this is a standalone Joker film. It has nothing to do with the previous Batman movies that we've seen in the past. My takeaways were it looks amazing. Joaquin Phoenix is probably in the top 3 of best actors currently working in Hollywood right now, right? Like, I think if you had to do a ranking, he's one of the very best currently working. Not like, you know, Daniel Day-Lewis would be up there for awards, but like he doesn't work. So can you even count him? I thought he was fantastic. I think the story definitely glorifies the fact that his mental illness and his spiral downwards is the hero's path of the movie, and that's what it's about. But I thought it was a really good movie. If you take it in the context of superhero films, I think it's an above average superhero film. I wouldn't say it's like the film of the year, though. It's really good. I just don't know if I would qualify it as like one of the best films I've ever seen type of thing.
Yeah, I probably like the Tarantino movie a little better. I loved this movie. I love Joker. All the comic book. I'm not like a Marvel guy. I've never been like a big, you know, Marvel Avengers or whatever it is. I've always been a big like Batman guy. Like Batman was like I was a Batman nerd. You know, and I think that people are going to, as the public starts seeing the movie, they're going to start comparing, you know, Heath Ledger, Jack Nicholson, and Joaquin Phoenix. And I think it's different. You can't look at those. I don't think this is a comic book movie. I don't think this fits into unless this is the way comic book movies start going and you start seeing a weird, you know, the comedian and taxi driver version of how the Penguin becomes the Penguin and how like all these other, you know, all these weird introspective ways that these villains become who they are. Because to me, sometimes when the bad guy wins, it's cool. You know, like, I don't know if have you ever seen the movie Arlington Road? With Jeff Bridges. Yeah, the bad guy wins. It's kind of cool at the end, you know? So to me, this was great. I love the way it looks. You know, Todd Phillips is a good filmmaker. He's always done, like, remember how when The Hangover came out and we talked about like the music and how everything like fit perfectly, even though it was like a BS comedy or whatever, it still looked cool and it still sounded cool and he used music perfectly. Did you notice that, if you listen to the orchestral pieces in this movie, that it had the same chords, I believe, as like The Dark Knight and the movies? It sounded like the same notes, and our App O'Connor will verify this for us. He's a music guy. He'll verify this. But it sounded like he was pulled, like Todd Phillips. Yeah, he pulled from Taxi Driver and The Comedian a ton, but it still sounded like he pulled from old Batman movies and like still tried to keep it not like comic booky, but still tried to keep this element of comic book fans are going to want to enjoy this movie, and I want them to enjoy this movie. So here are some elements that you may remember from other movies. Like, obviously, he goes into the whole Bruce Wayne and, Thomas Wayne, and how it's not like a spoiler alert, but like, how Bruce,
don't do spoiler. Listen, stop listening to the podcast if you don't want to hear
exactly.
About
if you don't want to hear about Joker. Yeah. So like they go into the whole like how Bruce Wayne's dad dies and all that kind of stuff, and how so like it's cool in that way, but I don't think you can compare Jokers. And I also thought of this while you were talking about this, about how good of an actor Joaquin Phoenix is as an actor. So there's always been this thing. Obviously, Heath Ledger died, and Jack Nicholson always talked about how when he played the Joker, it like ruined him for a while, right? Is Joaquin Phoenix the one guy that could just be like, all right, I'm done, peace out, and just completely like doesn't regard this at all? Like he doesn't, like being a character, like why he's so good at being a character, it also doesn't affect him to be these characters because he's such a good actor and such a weird dude in general that like he doesn't, like being the Joker and committing to the bit of being the Joker just won't affect him.
Yeah, because he's ruined to begin with.
Exactly. Like Jack Nicholson said that this ruined him for years of playing the Joker. And Heath Ledger, we know what happened to Heath Ledger. I'm not saying it was because of the Joker. He had problems to begin with, but it's not like being the Joker helped.
No, and with Heath Ledger, there's the stories written about how he locked himself in his hotel room and he was listening to hyenas laugh, and he was watching videos of things maul each other, and that's like what he would do for hours on end alone in a hotel room. Like he legitimately on drugs went crazy for this role and kept that journal where he wrote all those different stories like he was like all that stuff. Yeah, but The Ringer did a good job of writing a piece about Joaquin Phoenix and how he is a messed up individual to begin with. And I think the perfect way to describe this is, did you see Jimmy Kimmel last week?
Yeah.
Did you see them play so on Jimmy Kimmel, if you didn't see it, so on Jimmy Kimmel, the clip, you know how every guy that comes out to an award show, they play a clip? I mean, not an award show, on a late night show. When you come on the talk show, you play a clip of your movie. Well, they didn't play a clip of the Joker from the movie. They played an outtake, but the outtake that was played makes Joaquin Phoenix look bad because he's swearing at some guy,
the cinematographer,
right? So he's in a scene and he messes up, and then he gets mad at the cinematographer, and then he goes on an F-bomb rant about how he's breaking his process. Very Kanye-like, right?
Yeah, so then I would expect that from actors like Joaquin Phoenix and Daniel Day-Lewis. And
all right, and then the incredible acting takes place because they show it on Kimmel. Kimmel then asks Joaquin about it, and Joaquin could not be more awkward and more embarrassed than any person on earth could be. But here's the context: those clips are given to the shows to play. Joaquin Phoenix is well aware of what they're going to play at the time. They're well aware of why they're going to play it. They're well aware of what they're going to play. But instead, he is so far ahead of everyone in thinking about this stuff that he wanted to create a viral moment to then press this movie and put it out there and get people to look.
Of course.
And that's why he is so great, because this is all, it really is all a joke to Joaquin Phoenix. And he is playing everyone. And you see the video go viral throughout the week, embarrassing moment for Joaquin Phoenix. Jimmy Kimmel surprises him on late night. No, he knew, well aware, and he's so great at acting, he can act like he's super embarrassed and awkward on a moment's notice. It's pretty incredible. And he's so good in the movie. Okay, so here's one thing that I wanted to ask you about, because we're not going to do 6 hours on the Joker here.
We could.
We probably could. Let me ask you about the ending. So, in the end of the movie, after he kills De Niro's character on the TV show, and he then is arrested and he's in the car, and the cop car, they clearly take the shots of the cop car from The Dark Knight, where Heath Ledger is sticking his head out the window. You definitely get that sense when he's in the cop car, right? The ambulance hits him, and then people pull him out, and they're rioting, and they're going nuts in Gotham. What did you make of the fact that all of the people in Gotham are now celebrating at the end this person who just went on national television and killed the most famous late night host on television an hour earlier, minutes earlier? Like, the time span had to have been within the last hour that took place before he was arrested, and then they're cheering him and celebrating him on the street. To me, for all the trying to prove that this movie clearly, to me, it doesn't incite violence. But I think the one thing it doesn't not do is there's no repercussions for the actions taking place by the Joker in the movie.
What do you mean?
In
He
fact,
goes to Arkham.
Yeah, but first of all, he kills the social worker, and you know that he gets out. So what does it matter?
Okay, well, here's what I think. I think that you don't believe that someone could incite that kind of reaction. And you have to suspend belief because we're working in a comic book world here. And we're working in a city.
Why do they hate the late night host to celebrate?
Because he's rich. They hate the rich. You hate the rich. He's
even
rich.
If you're against the rich, to celebrate someone who just shot dead a late night host on television,
not.
People wouldn't be celebrating.
You have to go through the whole thing. The whole thing is where he's talking to the guy. This is a time. This was shot. This is supposed to be what, 70s, right? Right? Yeah, 70s, I think. So
late 70s.
Yeah, late 70s, early 80s, probably late 70s. This is a time where if you're out on the street and they've got those stores where there's like TVs and like there's like 30 TVs in like the window. So everybody's watching this, right? And then he says he killed the 3 guys. And for the last month or however long this movie is supposed to be taking place, obviously he gets the call about being on the show about 10 days before he goes on the show. So however long it's been since he actually killed these guys, they have known that someone in a clown mask has killed these guys. And whether he's done anything else since, they have propped whoever this is up onto this pedestal to be their so-called leader. Regardless of whether he should be or shouldn't be, that's who these people, the ones who organizing protests and everything, believe should be their leader. So the second he says that he did it, and the second that the guy, that Robert De Niro is convinced that this guy is telling the truth and he talks about it, he instantly becomes the leader. And if anybody out there is watching it or watching it on TV and then goes back out, it has to be more time because it can't just be an hour or 15 minutes or whatever.
Well, he's in the cop car leaving from, he was just,
but how long was he there? How long did they have him, retain there? Because when he gets out on the street, all hell is breaking loose. And that doesn't just happen instantaneously. That happens after people see him shoot him, and then they're all like, yeah, that's our guy. Oh, my God, he just did that. Let's go out. Let's riot. All that kind of stuff. Everybody knows who this guy is now because he's on the one show that literally everybody watches. So because of that, they know who he is, whether it was an hour after he did it, 2 hours after he did it, however long this takes for them to arrest him and actually end up leaving the scene of the crime or whatever. They know who he is. He's the only one that's dressed in a suit like that. Everybody else has the fake mask.
No, I'm not saying they don't know who he is. I just think it's a bit of a stretch to assume that people would support something like that.
Oh, they were supporting it from the jump. They supported it when they all decided to wear clown masks and rally. They just needed to know who it was.
And to me, it was a stretch that was even such a movement. I think the movie did a bad job showing why people were coming together against that.
I think
you see what I'm saying? Like I feel like it was very gimmicky, and he wanted to create something that seemed like it was bigger than it was, but he did a very poor job at making the viewer, me, feel like this was something bigger than it really is.
I think that you have to Listen, what have you known about one thing about Gotham? Like, what's the one thing everybody knows about Gotham? It's a powder keg that's ready to explode. Like, that's the one thing that they always say about Gotham. Gotham needs to start over. Gotham is the powder keg, whatever. So ultimately, if it's like that, they just need one action to all you need is to light a match. If that's the true meaning of Gotham. And I feel like that what Todd Phillips did is that he saw killing the three guys as the match. And obviously the Joker killed them, or, Joaquin Phoenix killed them. And then as soon as they find out that their shadow behind the figure, or their figure behind the shadows that they hadn't put a face to, just a clown face, they don't have an actual face. This is the guy. This is our face. They just need someone to lead. It's an angry mom. They just need someone to step up and lead. And he was like, okay, I guess it's me.
Okay. So the other thing I want to ask you before we go, are you, I understand because most of cinema is deriving from giving credit to and pulling from inspiration from the past. Are you cool with the way that Todd Phillips went about basically shot for shot at times, pulling scenes directly from Taxi Driver, directly from The Dark Knight, directly from The King of Comedy? Are you cool with the way that he did this? Like the
Yes.
scene where Arthur is in the apartment with the gun for the first time and he's pointing it and then talking to himself. That is directly from the scene in Taxi Driver where De Niro then goes into the famous line, "You talking to me," right?
Yeah.
Like that is almost shot for shot exactly that same exact thing. Or do you like that? Like, to me, I would have appreciated it more if it was just stylized and he didn't shot for shot so many times pull from other pieces of art.
I don't mind it as long
because
as...
You know why? Because it happens so frequently throughout the movie that I don't feel like there's an actual soul to the movie that was created. He was just taking pieces from previous works and compiling it into a collage that he's presenting in 2019.
I don't have a problem with it because he's the first one to do it. Like if there had been a Taxi Driver version, like I mentioned earlier, of like the Penguin, and like this is how the Penguin became the Penguin, or Catwoman becomes Catwoman, or whatever, then I feel
that would be shot stylized like in Homeward Bound.
Well, okay, all right, really. So I don't mind it, but now you can't. But because now you can't do it. Now you can't have these noir type films where it's, oh, this is how this villain became. Like you want to do backstories. We've also neglected Jared Leto's Joker and the fact that he mailed dead rats to dead rats to people. He mailed dead rats to his co-stars.
He did other things too.
Well, I know that.
He purchased items.
Yeah, I know what he purchased. But my point is that I don't see it as a problem because he did it. It was good. If he did it and it was bad, then I probably would have had a problem with it. But it was good. Like, he did a good job. I don't care, whatever. We all draw from things. We all bite off of people. That's fine. I don't care that it was shot for shot. Whatever.
But here's the difference, though. The Dark Knight has been made well known by Christopher Nolan that this is his take of heat in the comic book world. Like, his inspiration for The Dark Knight was the movie Heat. But in The Dark Knight, he is not shot for shot taking things from Heat, where this is directly from Taxi Driver, but he is shot for shot remaking it. But instead of it being what's his name, Bickle, it's instead Arthur who's there doing.
Are you comparing the guy who made Inception with the guy who made Old School?
To be honest, I was comparing the guy that made Memento and comparing it to the guy that made Road Trip.
Okay, there you go. That's a better one. That's a better one. That's yeah, okay, that's great. But I don't think maybe Todd Phillips did a good job. Like, it is. Yeah, I want to. Yes. It's a very good take on the Joker for Todd Phillips. Like, he did a good job, and it was good. There were parts that I could have done without, like the whole, like, I thought I didn't like the song when he was going down the stairs and dancing. Like, I thought it was funny, but you could have picked something better, I felt, but I'm not Todd Phillips, whatever. And then the whole like commentary on comedy, I feel like after all the stuff that we've read about Todd Phillips leading up to this movie, it's just like, oh, blank you, Todd Phillips. Like, do you have to just go out and say it in your movie, like as a commentary of how you don't like comedy anymore? Like, I get it. Now this is just Todd Phillips, just whatever you want us to do all over the screen.
Yeah, I agree with you. The music selections, I thought they were interesting.
He does a good job with that.
He does, and I felt like a different song for the stair scene could lead to a more impactful, lasting moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that, because the way that scene is shot is clearly set up, and the marketing of the movie is set up as that's one of the iconic moments of the movie. Yet with that music in the background, it's like, all right, you kind of ruined it there.
Yeah.
Like you're telling me you couldn't find something that kind of fit that better?
Mm-hmm. I did like the one of my at the end when he's running from the orderly. That was a good bit. The cartoon like style. Yeah. I thought that was good. That was a good way to end it, I thought. But yeah, I mean, I liked it. I don't know if it's going to be. There's still movies that I think that are going to come out that might be better, like that Uncut Gems. I hear is going to be amazing. I haven't seen Ad Astra yet with Brad Pitt, and I think I don't know. I think they're even. I think the more I think about it, I think it's pretty even with the Quentin Tarantino movie. I really liked this movie. I really liked Joker, mostly because I went in loving the Joker and loving Batman. So there was like he would have had to really screw this up for me not to like it.
I really enjoyed it as well. I think I liked Once Upon a Time in Hollywood a little bit more. But I think mainly that's based on the originality of that movie, where this is, even if it's a great Joker movie and a great superhero movie and a great movie alone, we still kind of already know the story. And to an extent, even though I like the Joker character the most out of any of the characters in superhero movies, like it's starting to become like enough of the Joker story type of thing to me. There's a fatigue there. Like how many times can we see a different spin on the Joker? You know, this was an above average version of it. Mm-hmm. And I like the actor, but like, okay, we don't need this anymore. You know what I mean? Well, like we can go 15, 20 years without someone doing a Joker. Like this should be it for a while.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to make a sequel because that's really not how he operates. I mean, he did make 3 Hangovers, but I don't think that you're going to get. I don't think that you're going to get.
Although I'm intrigued, if you told me this was going to have a sequel where he's now smooth and he's like out there doing his operations and being the Joker, I'm all in on that. All in. Give that to me.
I don't see. The thing is, I don't think Joaquin Phoenix is into that.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I want to see a Taxi Driver version of the Adam West Batman villain King Tut and how he comes into rule. I want to know that. That's what I want next. Right. I want him to just take the bad Adam West version villains and make like bad films about that.
All right, I'm going.
Oh, that's it?
Yep, that's it.
That's it? There's college football on? All right. Thanks for listening. And check us out, Chicago's College Tailgate, Saturday.
What?
Saturday, if you're listening to this on Friday or Saturday morning. And if not, next Saturday as well. Every Saturday, Chicago's College Tailgate with Jonathan Hood, myself, Adam Abdalla, and Chris Bleck. That's a good plug, right? Was that a good plug?
Yep.
Okay,
yep,
cool.
That's great.
All right. Thanks for listening.